How to Stay Invisible. Chapter 25. When Raymond woke up, it was to the sounds of a machine beeping. He opened his eyes slowly, letting them adjust to the glare of the fluorescent lights. His head was reeling. A woman with dark curls was standing over him. "Where am I?" Raymond tried to ask. His voice was cracked and dry. He desperately wanted a glass of water. "Shh," the woman said. "You're at the hospital. You were bitten by a snake." The memory of the snake bite came flooding back to him, and with it, the memory of Joseph Banker finding him in the woods. He tried to sit up, but instantly realized his mistake, bending over to vomit into the waste bin beside his head. "Easy now," the woman cooed, adjusting something by Raymond's arm, and his eyes closed again. When he woke up for a second time, it was Miss Marcus's voice that finally stirred him. This time he kept his eyes closed. "Raymond, you okay, sweetie? We've been so worried." "Worried?" Harlan's voice broke in. "He's been living in the woods. He's all anyone is talking about." "Hush, Harlan," Miss Marcus said. "I told the nurse you wouldn't get him riled up." Raymond peered at them. Harlan grinned and yelled, "Well, hey there, bud." "Harlan," Miss Marcus interrupted. "Sorry," he said, lowering his voice. "Hey there, Ray," he was said in a whisper. Raymond tried to grin. Harlan was a sight for sore eyes. Literally, every muscle in Raymond's body was sore and achy. "What happened?" Raymond croaked. Miss Marcus rested her hand on Raymond's shoulder. "Raymond, you were bitten by a snake, but you're going to be fine. The doctors have given you antivenom and said you'd be sore for a few days. Stiggs found you by the river. He's on his way back to the hospital now. He had to take your dog home. They wouldn't let him bring her in." Raymond tried to nod, but his head was throbbing and he closed his eyes tight. "Just rest now," Miss Marcus said. "We'll sort everything out later." Raymond had more questions, but every time he tried to talk, he felt sick to his stomach again, so he laid his head back on the pillow and kept his eyes closed. The next time he opened them, Stiggs was in an armchair by the window, sleeping. Raymond could hear Harlan arguing in the hall with the woman who Raymond could only assume was his gran. "He's my buddy," Harlan was saying. "I'm staying." His gran muttered something, but Raymond couldn't hear all that well. Raymond felt a little steadier than he did before. The door clicked closed behind Harlan, and Stiggs opened his eyes. "Hey," Raymond said. "How are you feeling, kid?" Stiggs asked, wiping the sleep from his eyes. "I'm okay," Raymond lied. His head was still pounding and his leg was aching, but he didn't feel as dizzy as he had before, and his fever had mostly lifted. "How did you..." Raymond started. "You have a heck of a dog," Stiggs said. "I was chopping wood when Rosie came running up my driveway, barking and going crazy. I thought she was going to pass out. She was so keyed up. I followed her, and she led me to you. The police got there about the same time I did." "The police?" "Yeah," Harlan cut in. "Joseph told Miss Harding what happened the other day in the woods. The whole school knows by now. Sorry, buddy." Raymond groaned, thinking of Lexi. He had really wanted to explain everything to her himself. Now he wouldn't have the chance. Harlan continued. Mrs. Hardin called the police after you didn't show up for school. They drove in, lights blazing, and started searching the woods out back. I guess they found you at the river. You'd think you were a wanted fugitive or something instead of just a missing kid. Raymond felt sick to his stomach. It took us a while to get to you, Stig said. A coyote was standing over you when we got there. I thought you must have been attacked. The police did too. We didn't even realize that you had a snake bite until we got you to the ambulance and you started moaning about a cottonmouth. Then we saw your leg all swollen up like it was. Raymond stared at Stiggs. He swallowed. What happened to the coyote? Raymond asked. Nobody answered. What happened? He asked again, his eyes pleading. The police? Well, they shot him, Raymond. Raymond closed his eyes and tried not to hear it. He tried to make it not true. It couldn't be true. Hank wasn't dead. Sweet, playful, rabbit-catching Hank. Tears poured down his face. They thought he was attacking you, Raymond, Stig said quietly. I did too. We didn't realize. But he didn't finish the sentence. They didn't realize, Raymond thought, that he had been living in the woods with a wild coyote. They didn't realize that a coyote could be protective instead of rabid, like Joseph had surely told them he was. Hank, Raymond said, finally choking out his name. His name was Hank. I'm sorry, Ray, Harlan said. But what were you doing living in the woods all this time and with the coyote too? You said your parents weren't around, but I never thought... That was why you needed the sleeping bag so bad, huh? It was Raymond's turn to apologize. He knew that. He had been lying to everyone for so long. He looked at Harlan and then at Stiggs. I'm sorry, he said, shaking his head. He wiped his face with his sleeve. I'm sorry. He had to catch his breath to keep from coughing through the tears. The nurse walked in and told Stiggs and Harlan that Raymond needed his rest, and if they couldn't keep it down, they would have to leave. Raymond took a few deep breaths and steadied himself. He tried not to think of Hank. The nurse checked Raymond's machines, got him a pitcher of water, and left the room. He poured a cup and drank the whole thing. What's going to happen now? He asked when he was finished, looking at Stiggs. I can't go back to the children's home. It's all white walls and fake air, no trees, no river, no fishing. Please, he begged, please don't make me go back. He was crying again, and Harlan wiped his eyes too, quiet at the foot of Raymond's bed. I don't know, Raymond, Stiggs answered. They are trying to locate your folks, but there doesn't seem to be any sign of them anywhere. Raymond looked at the ceiling. They won't find them, he said. He knew they wouldn't. They were gone for good, and Raymond couldn't decide if that made him feel better or worse. Raymond looked at the ceiling. Natalie is real upset about all this, Stig said. Said she saw you go into the woods one day. She's out there talking to the social workers now. I imagine they'll want to talk to you soon, too. Natalie? Raymond asked. And then he realized Stiggs was talking about Miss Marcus. He hadn't known her first name. How does she know you? Stiggs looked at the floor and sighed. I was going to be her father-in-law not too long ago. But, well, things went the way they went. Raymond understood now. Miss Marcus had been going to marry Stiggs' son. No wonder she looked so sad when she saw Stiggs' name on Raymond's paper that day. We should have been family. I didn't do right by her. I should have been there. Stiggs swallowed. But I was too messed up on my own to take care of anyone else. She did everything. The funeral, the arrangements, everything. Stiggs looked up now and Raymond could see that he was crying. I blame myself for what happened, but you can't go around blaming yourself for other people's decisions. I shouldn't have then, and you can't now. None of this is your fault, son. None of it. Just then, Miss Marcus opened the door and stuck her head in. Harlan, she said, your gran says she can't wait any longer. She stepped into the room. All right, then, Harlan said. He looked at Raymond. I'll come back as soon as I can. Want me to tell anyone anything? Raymond knew he was talking about Lexi, but what could he possibly say that would make any of this better? Raymond shook his head, and Harlan left the room. Miss Marcus looked at Stiggs. They would like to speak to you now, she said. Stiggs looked at Raymond for a long time before getting up. When the door closed behind them, Miss Marcus tried to smile at Raymond. How are you feeling? She asked. A little woozy. Raymond, But she stopped as suddenly as she had started. Am I going to have to go into a children's home now? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. She sighed. I'm not sure, Raymond. There aren't many foster homes around here. That'll be up to the state, I suppose. Raymond laid his head back on the pillow to stare at the ceiling. What about Rosie? His eyes were locked on a flaking spot of paint above his head. Can I see my dog? I'm sorry, she said. Stiggs took her to the cabin. They won't let her in the hospital. Raymond pinched his eyes shut to the tears that were flowing again. Miss Marcus put her hand on his shoulder. You rest now, she said, and left him alone in the room. Stiggs didn't come back for a long time after that, and when he did, his eyes looked swollen. He walked to the edge of the hospital bed. Look, Raymond, he said, I told them you could come and stay with me. I want you to know that. I tried, Raymond, but they don't agree. They're probably right. He sighed. Raymond felt numb. He swallowed, trying to hold back the tears that would only make Stiggs feel worse. Where are they sending me? He asked. There's a couple in Commerce that agreed to take you in. They've been in the foster program for a while now, but they haven't had anyone stay with them for a few years. They'll be coming in tomorrow to meet you. Raymond nodded. This was what he had been trying so hard to avoid. And after everything he had failed, he would be going back into the system and there wasn't anything he could do about it. Foster care. What would that be like? Raymond hadn't heard of one good experience about foster care from the kids in the children's home, and he imagined it would probably be the same or worse for him. He ran through his options and didn't come up with much. He had no money. They would know to look for him at Stig's or Harlan's. He could sneak out of the hospital and head for the woods on his own, but he didn't think he would get too far with his leg the way it was. And then there was Rosie. He couldn't leave Rosie. What about Rosie? He asked. Can she come too? Stig shrugged. I'm not sure, he said. Raymond couldn't bear it without Rosie. He had cried more that day than he had ever cried before, and well, he just couldn't do it anymore. He laid his head back on the pillow and tried not to think of foster care or Rosie or Hank. The nurse came in to tell them that visiting hours were over unless you were family, but Stiggs didn't move. I am family, he said. The nurse looked like she was going to argue, but then changed her mind. Fine, she said quietly. She checked Raymond's IV and closed the door again behind her. It's all right, Raymond told Stiggs. You can go. Rosie will be waiting for you. I don't want her to be alone. And what about you? Stiggs asked. I'll be fine. Raymond tried to smile. Really? Stiggs stayed through dinner anyway, but Raymond couldn't stomach much. He ate a few crackers and resisted the urge to pocket the rest of his dinner for Rosie. He didn't need to do that anymore. Before Stiggs left, Raymond asked, will you bury him for me, Hank? He deserves that much. Sorry. This is why I love to read. It hurts, but at the same time, it feels good. He loved Hank. We can't be sad about the love Hank had felt. Stiggs promised to do it first thing in the morning. Try and get some sleep, he said, and pulled the door shut behind him. Raymond lay in the hospital bed into the evening, staring at the ceiling. He thought of Rosie and Hank. He thought of Harlan and Lexi, of Miss Marcus and Stiggs. He thought of his parents, and he felt so sad that he thought he might break in two. At 2 a.m, the door to Raymond's room squeaked open. Raymond, a voice whispered. It was Lexi. Lexi? Raymond said, sitting up in bed. He had been drifting in and out of sleep, but felt wide awake now. How did you? I took the bus, she said. My parents think I'm sleeping. They'll be mad as fire if they wake up and find out I left. I wrote them a note just in case. Raymond stared at her, unsure of what to say. She walked to the side of the bed. What happened, Raymond? Joseph said you attacked him. Have you really been living in the woods all this time? How could he explain himself? How could he tell her about his parents leaving and not giving him any other choice? He swallowed hard and started at the beginning. When he was finished, Lexi stared at him. Somewhere in the middle of the story, she had started crying. I'm so sorry, Raymond said. I wanted to tell you. I really did, but I couldn't. Lexi nodded. She found Raymond's hand and squeezed it. Her touch was warm, and Raymond could feel it all the way into his throat. They say I'm going to live with a couple in Commerce, he finally said. Lexi let go of his hand, and Raymond immediately wished he hadn't said anything. Commerce? She repeated. She looked at him and tried to smile. That's just one town over. We can still see each other all the time. Raymond smiled at her. It was you, wasn't it? It was you who put the toothpaste in my cubby and the $5 in my math book. I thought it was Miss Marcus, but it was you. Lexi smiled at him and shrugged. Sometimes I help Miss Marcus check the notebooks, and I read yours. I read where you erased that you wanted toothpaste, and well, we have plenty of toothpaste lying around with my dad being a dentist. How did you know I needed the money? He asked. I overheard you in the cafeteria that day. Your table was right next to ours. You told Harlan that you needed it to go to the jamboree, and I guess I just wanted you to go. Raymond wondered how he ever could have missed Lexi sitting so close to him in the cafeteria, even in the dim lights of the hospital. Raymond could see her blushing. He found her hand again and pulled her down to meet him. He paused to make sure it was okay, and when she smiled, he kissed her. It was exactly as Raymond imagined it would be. He could smell the sweetness of her hair like strawberries in springtime. She stood and grinned at him. I'll come again, she told him, and he reluctantly let her hand go.